Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the March 13th, 2025 General Meeting of the Clifton Board of Education. Please rise for the flag salute and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Sorry, gentlemen. Sorry? Mr. Shahada, the roll call, please. Nobody even noticed that.
Ms. Bassford?
Here.
Mr. Brunciak?
Here.
Mr. Canova? Dr. Danny?
Here.
Mr. Mejia?
Here.
Mr. Ciano?
Here.
Ms. Suarez?
Here.
Vice President Santiago?
Here.
President Perez?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Shahada. Commissioner Mejia, could you read the mission statement? Okay. Vice President Santiago, can you read it?
Thank you, President Paris. The mission of the Clifton School District in an open and reciprocal community partnership is to provide all students with a quality education to develop the skills necessary to become literate, lifelong learners who are responsible and productive citizens contributing to a democratic society in an ever-changing world.
Thank you. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right to the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Clifton Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be publicized by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the City Clerk's Office, Clifton Public Library, Administration Building, Senior Citizen Nutrition Center, on cable TV, in the local press, on the district's website, and mailed to presidents of parent-teacher organizations. This meeting will be tape recorded in accordance with Policy 0168. Is our student representative in the house? Hey, Mark, come on up.
Hi, good evening all. Well, there haven't been many report-worthy events happening recently at CHS, so tonight I just want to give a quick synopsis of what's happened in the past weeks and what to expect for the future. Our recent performance of Sweeney Todd was very successful. I want to thank all of you that attended. Lots of Clifton students, parents were in attendance, and in whole, I would like to thank all those that support our arts and theater programs. They cannot succeed without your support. Furthermore, NJGPA testing is happening this week, which has been going smoothly. Tomorrow, there will be a students versus staff basketball game at 7 p.m. in the CHS Lower Gym, and I'd like to cordially invite all students, parents, Cliftonites, of course, all of you guys to attend and come watch. I personally will be playing in the game as well, so if you would like to come and watch that, that's happening. Finally, our spring sports season has started, and with games starting as early as next week, I'd like to once again urge everyone to go and support our teams. In terms of the future, I personally have been working with the math department at CHS to resolve some issues with our online math programs. So prior to this year, we had been solely using Imagine Math to supplement students' learning. Imagine Math was a program introduced a couple years ago to replace Study Island. But this year, MyPath was rolled out as a pilot program in certain, I believe, sophomore level classes. And we are so far trying to test its effectiveness. Working with the head of the math department, I personally am trying to gauge student opinion on the program, as well as trying to understand the root cause of why students are doing poorly in math and refusing to do lessons on the program, even though they are aware that it will hurt their grade. So I believe we'll be sending out a survey next week, which will last about a week, and we will be trying to use this data to come up with solutions to these issues, and I will personally be presenting relevant information at next week's board meeting, so I will work with Mr. Rose in regards to that. That is all for this month, and thank you. Good night to all.
Thank you, Mark. And thank you for spearheading that new math solution. That sounds exciting.
Isn't it nice that we get student input, Mr. Barris?
It's wonderful that we get student input. Okay. Dr. Albertozzi has a presentation for us this evening, so the floor is yours, sir.
It is that time, huh? Does it need to be here, or can it be close?
It can be close. We'll boost it.
Good evening, Commissioners of the Clifton Board of Education, community members, faculty, staff, and students. Looking forward to tonight's presentation because the idea that we'll be discussing is something that I've hoped for since year one of my superintendency here in Clifton, and that was the opportunity to open up a new school. Now, not a brand new school, but nevertheless, a new school, a new building to us. And so tonight we talk about expanding the possibilities of the Clifton Public Schools. And as you all know, and hopefully the community knows, that we have agreed in terms to a lease for 775 Valley Road, which is the former Pope Paul VI School and later Pope John Paul II Elementary School. Tonight I want to talk about what's happened since October 21, when we first started, discussing the possibility of getting that building. So back in October 21, we did an initial walkthrough. And I was very impressed with the building itself. The last time it was used as a high school was in 1990. The building is still in very, very good shape. Since October 21 till February of 25, the business office, along with myself, had been working behind the scenes with the Archdiocese of Newark to get a deal to get this property. Initially, we wanted to purchase the property. The Archdiocese of Newark wasn't selling. In fact, we were told that the Catholic Church in general doesn't like to sell its property because they are the largest property owners in the world. Well, due to some recent events, they changed their mind, and we were able to lease the building. So, since October 21, we've talked about this building in various committees. In October of 24, when I was out on medical leave, my great team in my absence, Mr. Gingaro, Ms. Kusilevich, and Mr. Shahada, did a community survey to get some input from the community on what they would like to see in a new building. We had the architect, our district architect, DeCara Rubino, in to look at the building. We started a demographic study to determine what would be the best use of the facility. And we've had our technology teams, our security teams, and our maintenance teams in the building to scope out the area, do a needs assessment so that when we took possession of the property, we'd be ready to move in. We'd be ready to go. And I'm proud to say that when September 25 comes, we will be prepared to hopefully open a third new middle school in the Clifton Public School District. Truly a historic moment in our district's history. To help us along that path, we posted the position for a principal. And tonight on the board agenda, you'll see my recommendation for Mr. Rob Bertolini to be the next principal of our 3rd middle school. Real quick, told you about that survey we did in October. Here's what the community had to say. You see that unlike some surveys we've done in the past, we actually had a pretty good response rate on these surveys. And to be statistically significant, not to get technical here, but you really only need about 5% of the people to respond to get what's considered a statistically significant answer. And as you can see, the biggest response from the community was to open up a 3rd middle school. The second biggest response, which was something administration strongly considered, was opening up some sort of specialized academy, an offshoot of Clifton High School. But as you'll see later on in my presentation, the need in this district is for a 3rd middle school. Here's that same data in percentages. So roughly 38% of the respondents said they would like to see a 3rd middle school. In October, the board appointed a demographer to begin a demographic study to help us make a strategic decision that would meet the district's needs. And part of this demographer's report is a comprehensive analysis that considers operational efficiency, cost effectiveness, and long-term sustainability. The study looked at data from 2009 to 2022, including historical enrollment trends, local housing growth, of which I know you all live in Clifton, you've seen the new developments and the increase in population in our city. The demographer looked at home sales, special education enrollment, and did GPS geocoding mapping to provide us with 5-year enrollment projections of what we can expect through 2030, geocoding of the population density for the school boundaries, and possible redistricting of where we might want these students to come from, what neighborhoods. Also options for which schools should be sending their students to the middle school, the new middle school. And also did statistical forecasting and predictions on what we can expect in the future. Now that demographer's report is not fully complete, ladies and gentlemen, but we have more than an excerpt. We have an abstract which has kind of the main points of the demographer's report. What we do not have, and what tonight I cannot tell you for sure, is what, when we open this 3rd middle school, what elementary schools will be sending their students there. However, I can assure you that at our next Board of Education meeting, we will announce the recommendation from the demographer and the administration's recommendation. But you can expect at least 3 of our elementary schools, at least 3 schools that their 5th grade students this year will be going to a new middle school next year instead of Woodrow Wilson or Columbus Middle School. And when we announce that at our next meeting, the day after we announce it, we will notify those parents of those students so that they can begin planning. So why? Why a 3rd middle school? You've been in our buildings, you've seen our needs. There's certainly a lack of space and overcrowding at our current middle schools. That's been a major concern of ours for a long time. All of our programs across the district have been growing. We've had increased enrollment in our specialized programs that require full-size classrooms. Whereas we used to be able to split a full-size classroom and make it into 2, some of our specialized programs need full-size classrooms now. We have a lot more need for classrooms at all grade levels for special education and ELL students. You'll recall that our ELL enrollment has doubled in the last 5 years. Doubled, ladies and gentlemen. Growing preschool, we are not yet at what is called our preschool universe, meaning not every 3- and 4-year-old in the city of Clifton is attending preschool. And guess what? We're almost out of room. And thanks to the board, thanks to the budgets we've created, thanks to money that we received during the pandemic, we've been able to increase student services like counseling. And that's taken up space too, though. Our own district's data has indicated that our middle schools are over capacity. We have more students in our schools than we should. A district survey of our staff showed that the middle schools were the biggest area where space relief was needed. And if that wasn't enough, the professional demographer that we hired recommended that the best option would be opening up a 3rd middle school because of the dense population of our current middle schools. Now let's talk about the big picture. This is the stuff I love. Yeah, well, all that sounds good, Dr. Robertosi, but is this good for kids? Ladies and gentlemen, this is really good for kids. There is a lot of research that suggests school sizes, optimal school sizes, for secondary schools range from 600 to 900 students. And there is research showing that optimal size increases math and language arts outcomes. Currently, today, there are 1,111 students at Christopher Columbus Middle School and 1,246 at Woodrow Wilson. Much bigger than that optimal size. And ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you that our middle schools are bigger than most high schools in the state of New Jersey. And middle school students have much different needs than high school students. So a smaller school benefits them in many, many ways. One is a positive school climate. Smaller schools are often associated with a more positive and supportive school climate, which in turn can indicate better academic outcomes, right? Makes sense. If the school climate is positive, people are happy and satisfied, kids, staff do better, children do better academically. There's also research indicating less disruptions, less disciplinary issues. Small schools can lead to fewer disruptions and a more focused learning environment. Need more research? I got it for you. There's a lower incident of negative social behavior in smaller schools. Negative social behaviors such as bullying and victimization compared to larger schools. So you are less likely to be bullied in a smaller school. Smaller schools increase student-teacher relationships. Right? The smaller the school, the more close-knit they become. Our middle schools, again, are the size of most high schools. When those students at that age really need more attention. And that, of course, can lead to more student engagement, which leads to better academic outcomes, which leads to more motivated students who are willing and wanting to take more rigorous courses. And finally, there's research that indicates smaller schools can foster a sense of belonging and positive self-regard, which can contribute to better mental health and well-being. That's one thing we've been talking about. We should have always been talking about it, but since the pandemic, we've been talking about SEL, social emotional learning, and the mental health of our students and staff. There is research that indicates smaller schools help students with a better sense of self-worth, mental health, and well-being. So why is it important to know this? It's important to know these things. The professional demographer recommended a 3rd middle school. The staff survey recommended a 3rd middle school. The community survey recommended a third middle school. The administration wants a third middle school. Why do we want a third middle school? For all these reasons. Because ultimately it's better for children. So here's the plan right now, ladies and gentlemen, and you will vote on this tonight. We would like to open up our third middle school at Valley Road in September of '25. Right now there are 47 full classrooms at Columbus, 55 at Woodrow. Our new middle school will have 33. It's not quite as big as those schools, but it's plenty big enough. And by the time the third year rolls around, we expect there to be about 850 students at Columbus, about 850 at Woodrow, and about 650 at our new middle school. Notice how those numbers fall in very nicely with the optimal school size. So when I say when we reach our full capacity, is because we're not going to open up a 3-grade middle school in September. That's not the plan. We're going to ease into this. And we're going to start off with a 6th grade next year. So those parents who get a notification that your child is going to a third middle school, one of the benefits is your children are going to be the only grade in that school. So I know parents are worried about, going to middle school is a big step. There's anxiety. There's worries about going to a big school. Well, your children are going to be just with 6th graders for a year. The following year, we'll move up another 6th grade class and we'll have 6th and 7th grade. And in 3 years, we'll have a full middle school, which will bring us up to those projected numbers of 850, 850, and 650. So look at what we're doing here, right? We're not just creating a smaller school that's going to help students do better. We're creating 3 smaller schools that are going to help students do better. We'll be able to balance busing throughout the district and programming. And when we get the final demographic report, again, before our next board meeting, we will know what schools are recommended to be the feeder schools. And as soon as we know that for sure, you will know, the community know, and we'll let our parents know. Make no mistake about it, these 3 schools will have the same curriculum, the same general programs, the same scheduling and activities. So regardless of where your children go to school, they will have the same opportunities. And we'll have more space for our specialized programs, more space at each school because of this. So there's the projection of how we get to 650. Next year, we're expecting about 220 students. Following year, we'll add another grade. That'll get us to about 440 students. And third year will get us to what we're calling our capacity. It's not quite our capacity, but at about 650 students, which is a very nice size school. When parents get a notification and children get a notification that, hey, your school, your 5th grade class is going to the new middle school, we have to be very, very strict in making any exceptions to that, just so that we balance out the numbers. So a parent may say, but my child was planning on going to Columbus, they have to go to Columbus. I'm going to let the board know now, and I trust that you will support me in this, that we have to be very strict in allowing any exceptions to not going to the new school. But 2 of those right off the bat are if a parent already has a sibling going to Woodrow or Christopher Columbus, that student can also go and finish the 8th grade year. So even if the sibling is in 8th grade next year, we're going to allow that student to start and finish at the school they go to, as to not disrupt their education more than once. And then, of course, any student who's in a specialized program. Part of this redistricting or rebalancing is, as you know, many of our special education programs at the middle school level are at Woodrow. Some of those will go to the new middle school, some will stay at Woodrow. And so if a child is eligible for those programs, they obviously will go there, and if their sibling is in that school, we would also allow the sibling. So other than that, other than what I deem and we can discuss this in committees. Other than what I deem a really good reason, we have to be very strict about making any other exceptions to the middle school so we make sure our schools are balanced. So, we're in the why and what phase now. What's next? So we have the lease signed. We are awaiting NJDOE approval. The New Jersey Department of Education does have to approve the lease. We don't anticipate any problems with that, but that hasn't happened yet. Tonight, hopefully, the board will appoint a principal. And tomorrow, we'll have our first meeting. From then on, we're also going to form a smaller committee made up of the middle school administrators, certain select teaching staff, and others who are impacted by this move to help us to think about all the little things that we might not have thought about in our plan. And we'll start getting down into the nitty-gritty details about what are all the things you have to do to open up a new school. And there's a lot that you have to do. And the reason why I surround myself with those people is because first of all, I don't know that much, right? I pretty much get by on my good looks and personality. But the people that we'll have on that committee will know a lot more, and we'll get their input. We'll review the final demographic report, and I will come to the board, and I will tell you this was the recommendation of the demographer, and whatever the administration's recommendation is for the 2 or 3 or 4 schools that are going to the middle school. We'll redistrict based on that report. We'll notify the families. We'll have an open house in the summer. And finally, we'll name the building. This board, in its foresight, last year just happened to make a new naming policy, 7660. And so this is for anyone who's listening. Any resident, student, community member, board member, staff member can put in a written proposal to recommend a name for the building. That procedure is as follows. You can recommend the name. Our policy says that the person, if it's a person, doesn't have to be a person, could be a tree. The person has had to have significant contributions to the city and the children in Clifton. Okay? As part of your petition requirement, you'll have to get 25 signatures. We'll have to verify those signatures to some extent. Mr. Paris will create an ad hoc committee to review the names. That committee will include board members, faculty, students, administrators, and other community representatives as deemed appropriate by Mr. Paris and Mr. Paris only. That committee will then discuss all the recommendations and then make a final recommendation to myself and Mr. Shehata. And the policy says if it meets with our approval, then we bring it to the full board. I will tell you this, whatever that committee recommends will be my recommendation to the board. We bring that to the full board. The board considers it. We'll probably start off in committee and then bring it to the full board. And the final decision will be by a majority vote of the board on the naming of the school. The application for naming of the school is on our district website. Thank you to Mr. Shehata for creating the form. It's under the Board of Education tab. We are asking, it's not a firm deadline, but we want to get this done rather quickly. We're asking for submissions to be before April 1st. Again, not a firm deadline. The policy doesn't have a deadline. You can submit a recommendation anytime to change the name or add a name to anything. But for this specific purpose, we're asking for an April 1st deadline. And then finally, in September 2025, we'll open that new school. Name yet to be determined. Ladies and gentlemen, those are all the reasons why I recommend that we open a third middle school. I'm happy now to answer any questions that you may have. And if you ask a question, I may ask Mr. Gengaro, Ms. Kusilevich, or Mr. Shada to help me with an answer.
Thank you, Dr. Robertosi, for a very thorough presentation. Commissioners, Commissioner Bassford.
Thank you, Dr. Robertosi, for your explanation. I have a couple things. I've been going back and forth all day with the BA. You were not in, and you now were not in during the presentation, but I recall that we did mention we were going to have community input on which area of the grade level you were going to put up in the school. So I don't know if anybody else recalls that, but I did recall that we were going to have some kind of public meeting, and it never happened. So I'm disappointed with that. We're going to get kickback on that. I know we're going to get kickback on. And the other thing I'm worried about is, I know your reasons for implementing one grade at a time, the sixth grade, but why not utilize that whole building for other things where we're busting at the seams for? And
Great question.
how do I tell the people in the community that we're only using a third of the building when we're in a budget issue? So this is me with my community member hat on. I'm concerned about that.
Mrs. Bassford, that's an excellent question. Let me answer that first before we touch on the first comment. For exactly the reason you said people might be concerned is the reason why we're phasing it in, budget. It is not as simple as some may think that we just take a certain amount of students from the middle schools and then we take the teachers who are currently there and it works out evenly and perfectly and it fits. We're going to have to hire new staff. It just doesn't work that easily. So we're going to have to hire new staff next year, and then each year we're going to have to hire additional staff. So as to not have to hire, one of the reasons is to not have to hire all those staff in the first year. So I can understand why somebody might say, hey, you're only utilizing a third of the building. I get that. But there is a significant budgetary reason why that makes sense. The second reason is if we redistrict everybody for September 25, we're interrupting the education of 2 additional grade levels, right? So in this regard, the students who are in 5th grade, yes, they were expecting to go to a certain middle school, but they never got there, they never experienced it, they get to go to the new school. So we don't have to disrupt the current 6th and 7th graders to go to the new middle school.
I understand that, but it's just that we have an obligation, we have the fiduciary obligation to the taxpayers, and I'm looking at a third of this mechanism being utilized. Is there anything else or any other program that we could put in that building in the meantime, separate it out so it will be safe, it will be conducive to learning? So that's what I'm thinking, because you talk about preschool, and I know shifting things around, and don't start yelling at me, everyone. I'm just, how can we utilize that mechanism to its full potential so we're not underburdening ourselves either? Because I told you, I was in a classroom on Monday, right? I read to a classroom on Monday of 24 first graders, and it really alarmed me. It really alarmed me. I didn't like to see that because they're emerging readers, and I was really upset about that. I didn't say nothing to nobody. I didn't say nothing to the teacher, but I was like, when I walked in, I was like, woo! I was taken back because I know that that's really not ideal.
In short, Ms. Bassford, while I can't give you a specific program, I can tell you that although only a third of the middle school students are planning to be there in September, we will absolutely be using the rest of that building for other reasons. There are a myriad of things that we can utilize. I don't want to tie myself down to a particular one by saying it publicly tonight, but I assure you we will be using it. And in addition, Ms. Bassford, I'm not sure, I think the board knows, but the community should know, we are also taking possession of the building next to the school, which is the archdiocesan offices. And so, Ahmed, when do we get that? It's going to be a little longer.
We're supposed to get it in December, but that is still in flux.
So within a year, we'll be getting that, and there's a ton of space there. The good thing is, well, it's not a good thing, but the good thing is we have overcrowding everywhere. So even here at School 6, there are programs that could be moved there. And so, and we'll have further discussions about that, but I think that every inch of both of those buildings will be used.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Commissioner
Any other
Brunciak.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dr. Robertosi, you mentioned previously that some of the older siblings who currently attend Woodrow Wilson or Columbus, that their parents have the option of still continuing to have them go there. Those are the only exceptions for now, right? But by year 3, that won't be, because I had some of the parents they didn't know what it was going to be. They were concerned about that as well. You know, my son is currently attending there, but his little brother, he's coming up. He wants to be in the school at least for 1 year, 2 years if they got Irish twins or whatever. So, you know, they could potentially have up to 2 years or 3 years, 2 years together, you know? So essentially, but do we have a ballpark figure of how many 5th graders have older siblings already going to a middle school? A ballpark figure?
Not as many as I expected, in the low teens.
Wow.
Yeah. Having said that, Mr. Brunswick, the only other exception is if a student attends a specialized program. That would be an exception too.
Right. There's nothing you can do for that. It does answer my question. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess the idea is we want to disrupt students' and parents' lives as little as possible. Allowing what we'll call the sibling exception, I think, helps with that. But other than that, unless somebody has a real legitimate reason why they can't go to the new middle school, and of course we'll consider any request, but I can't really see making exceptions.
Commissioner Siano.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation.
Yes, sir.
Special education in the school?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
There will be. Most of our middle school special education programs, not all, but most are at Woodrow now. And as part of the realignment, some of those programs will move to the new school.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
President Paris.
Commissioner Suarez, then Commissioner Mejia, then
I
Vice
think Ms.
President.
Kusalevich wanted to add something to my previous answer. Janina?
Right now, the vast majority of all of the self-contained special education classes are at Woodrow, so we would be looking at moving some of those strands to better balance between the two schools. And the vast majority of ELL programs are actually all of them for middle school are at Christopher Columbus. So even though it may sound like we're only moving up this group of 5th graders, once you start layering in the specialized programs coming over as well, that's going to use a lot more of the building than it sounds like just rising 5th graders, because the strands of self-contained special ed will move over there, and there may be other smaller programs that can come over as well. So more of the building will be utilized, and special ed will be balanced across, better balanced across the 3 schools.
That's why I always need you on my side, Janina.
Commissioner Suarez.
Thank you, President Paris. I was just curious if there are any plans to put out the naming for as an assignment to students. I'd be so curious to see what ideas they might have and make it an academic
Love that idea.
assignment.
I did not think of it, but I have no problem doing that. In fact, I will do that. I love that idea. What's that?
Chewy Middle School.
Yeah. I love that idea. They have to follow the same rules as everybody else. Well, it's probably easier for the kids to get 25 signatures than the adults, you know?
Commissioner Mejia.
So I received a lot of calls today, mainly because I think people within the community, especially some of our staff members over at Christopher Columbus, were worried that it would just be targeted to a specific group of demographic students who live around the area. And I wanted to know, would it just be those main 3 schools that are around there, or would we incorporate alleviating some of Christopher Columbus Middle School as well?
Excellent question, Mr. Mejia. Part of the demographer's report, not only is it the students who live in that neighborhood, but we asked them to look at ways that we can make other schools that might be overcrowded at the elementary level to lessen the load there and to balance out. Now, we have an obligation to provide all students with a thorough and efficient education. One of the things we have to consider when redistricting is that we have to balance the socioeconomics and the other demographics. So you can't just move all the kids from one section of town to that school. It's going to be a balance of students from all over while considering busing, right? So we're not going to take all the kids from one part of town, but it's absolutely balanced. It's a very good question, and the demographer's final recommendation will include reasoning behind that.
My follow-up question to that is going to be, is there going to be options? I know before we would have options, like option 1 would include these 3 schools, option 2 would include these 3, and option 3 would include these. Are we going to have things like that, or is it just going to be a set final recommendation?
I think what the demographer will recommend and what the administration will recommend to the board is what is the most efficient and balanced way. I don't think it would be options. I don't think that would make. I don't think that would work.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Vice President Santiago.
Thank you, President Paris. Can we get access to that report, the demographer's report?
As soon as I get it, you guys will have it.
Excellent. These special needs classes, the reason this school is chosen for that is because the existing size of the classrooms already, or the special space needed, or will there be renovations to the building to make any accommodations?
Actually, Mr. Santiago, that's a great question too. The reasoning is actually more simple than that. A child with an IEP is required to go to class and go to school with non-disabled peers. And so as part of that balancing act, we have to include special ed programs with regular ed programs in the new building, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So that'll be part of the balancing act, so to speak.
Yes, and then, thank you. The last question in the naming, in our policy talks a lot about petitions. We've just been saying this about names of people, but as you mentioned, it could be, the famous oak tree that's been there forever. It could be the section of town. It could be whatever. And so the process would be the same in terms of submitting that per the policy?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any petition that meets the policy requirements will go to the committee that Mr. Paris creates for consideration. So yeah, it could be, could be a thing, could be a place, it could be, doesn't have to be a person.
Thank you.
Dr. Danny.
Just thank you for the report.
You're very
It
welcome.
was very well put together. Does the building have air conditioning? Just was curious.
Boxed air conditioning, yes? Is
It
it?
has split units in the classrooms, in most classrooms.
Thank you. Split units in most classrooms.
Thank you.
Commissioner
And that's
Suarez.
one of the things that, we'll be looking at with our maintenance teams.
Thank you, President Paris. I was just wondering if we have a rough estimate when families will know about the bus schedule for the new school?
The bus schedule, so the day after our next board meeting, parents will be notified if their child is going to that school. As part of that notification, if they live more than 2 miles away, they will be getting a bus and they'll be notified in that letter. You're very welcome. Mr. Shad, I'm sorry, 2.5 at the secondary level, 2 at the elementary level.
Commissioner Mejia?
I don't know. I feel like we need a little bit more input from the community in general. Is it okay if we just table it and wait until we get everything in order? Because I know we do have to appoint a principal, yes. But until we have like all the information we need and then finally passing it, because I know the resolution is just to make it a designated principal, a building, making it a middle school and all that. But is it okay that we have everything in order before we finally put it down?
Mr. Mayor, we won't have everything in order to open the new school probably till the day before that school opens. So I'm just curious as to what additional information would you need to help you make a decision?
Like all the schools who are going to be involved in transferring over to the new middle school.
Yeah, so we're going to know that in 2 weeks at the most. Yeah, so I mean, certainly at the board's discretion, if that's something that the board wanted to do.
I just want to say that, respect your opinion, this resolution is part of the final piece of the packet that needs to go to the DOE for approval of the building. So every building, every lease, unfortunately, has to go to the facilities department there. They have to comb through it along with the architect's reports and every other piece of documentation. And that can take up to, it took us a year and a half to get Seal S. So, you know, it's a large undertaking from them, and they are very understaffed. So this would put a huge delay in the process.
Commissioner Bassler.
Yes, I have a question. Does it have to be designated a middle school before it goes down to the DOE? Or can we say that we're going to take it as a school? I think that's what, Mr. Mejia, you're referring
So
to.
I believe, don't quote me, but I believe it does, because it has to go into our long-range facility plan that has to be updated in conjunction with the packet that we submit to them.
When is our next meeting?
April-ish, second week of April, maybe the
Because,
13th. I believe it's April 13th. That's sticking out to me.
Here's my rationality. I'm on the same wavelength because I was getting a lot of calls and text messages today from people saying that they didn't have weigh-in. I'm just telling you what
Didn't have what?
weigh-in.
Weigh-in.
Right,
So
and
I'm just-
because Danny, I was trying to go back to look at the old meetings. I didn't have time to do it today.
Yep.
And I thought that was one of the discussions on this board, is that we wanted community input.
So the community survey was not enough?
The community survey didn't go out to all aspects, and that was a big controversy, if anybody remembers, that it didn't go out to like the senior citizens. I know we're talking about school-age children, and that it went out to most of the parents, but it didn't go out to the senior groups, it didn't go out to the out-of-district placement people, and,
Dr. Robertozzi,
Yes, let me just say one thing.
it,
If the board wishes to table this, it would be against my recommendation. But that's okay, you don't have to take my recommendation. I don't think, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, that there's something that a community member could tell you tonight that is going to change my mind about the need for a third middle school. Maybe there's something they could say that would change your mind, and I'm open to change, but I laid out at least what I believe are all the reasons why we need this. And I'm not sure what somebody else could tell you tonight that would change that. But certainly, if that's the board's prerogative, we can wait.
Can I respond to that? My thing is that sometimes we drop the ball, and we didn't have follow-up, and I'm not saying anything against anyone on this dais or anyone in administration. I just thought that the process was going to go a little different. I thought that we were going to have a special meeting and just put it out there what you wanted to do. And I thought that the decision was going to be made after we got the demographic study back. That's what I thought. I don't know if I'm miscalculating something. Somebody, if I'm wrong, tell me, because.
Yeah, I agree.
But one other thing is that I'd like to know the rule. Does it have to be named a middle school or not named a middle school? Because that would be helping me make my decision tonight. I need all the facts. It's just like the other night with the budget. We don't know, we do know. I gotta have concrete stuff in front of me.
Mr. Mejia, respect Ms. Bassler. Is there any other commissioner that remembers there was going to be additional community input or a community night?
I remember community night.
Is there anybody else, guys?
Yes.
Because it's been discussed in committees. It's been a staff survey. It's been a community survey. But if you're not comfortable with it, then I respect that. But if there's another commissioner who remembers, that would be helpful.
I haven't had a chance to make a comment yet, so I'd like to weigh in a little bit here. We've had, was it at least 2,500, more than that. What was the total number of people surveyed? It's thousands. We're talking thousands. This was done back in October.
Students and parents, and it was out of district. because I
Students,
made sure it was
parents,
out of district. But it was over
staff, anyone was.
20,000 went out.
Also, we have an independent third party didn't come here with any kind of preconceived notions, and they're recommending also our need is a middle school. And we also have our own administration, which knows, I'm sure they did not, I'm sure they did their homework as far as where the biggest need is for overcrowding in our district. I don't know what would be the benefit of having another public meeting. There were 6 months people could have come here or written to us or communicated with us about their concerns, and here we are. And we're on a timeline here. We want to get this school, we have possession of the school regardless. We need to get it prepared for the fall. I don't see the need personally for an additional meeting on this. Yes, Commissioner Siano.
Just to answer the superintendent. So if I'm remembering correctly, Janina did the presentation on this, and I think that it was said that it was going to be open to the community. I don't remember the exact wording, but Commissioner Mejia, Commissioner Bassford, that's a good recollection that I have that was said. I'm not saying that I'm agreeing to table it. I'm saying that I agree that something was said to that extent.
Thank you.
I don't want to table this, but I'm just asking for a concrete answer. Does it have to say middle school in the resolution so we can get it down to the proper departments, get it moved, and then rename it at another resolution? Because every time we put a resolution on the agenda, if there's a change to a resolution, including a date change, it should go on a resolution because you're changing something that was agreed upon by this collective body. That's how I was taught on when you do resolutions. I don't know if that's changed since I went to resolution school, but that's how I was taught. All right? But I'm just saying, I do not want to be subject to public scrutiny saying that we didn't give the community weigh in. That's all I'm asking for. And can we put it, is it yes, we can put it as a middle school, or no, we have to have it, the exact wording to go down to the state? That's all I'm asking for, so I can make my decision on how I'm going to vote.
I don't know that answer.
I don't know, I'm trying to find, but I would imagine you would. I mean, how are they gonna approve it for use without knowing what you're using it
Because
for?
there are specifications, so if we wanted it to be a preschool, it's 950 square feet, 750 usable. An elementary, elementary and secondary school, it's about 775 or something like that. Yeah, so in my professional opinion, I do believe it is required because we have to amend the long-range facilities plan that gets updated every 5 years unless there is an amendment of adding a building, demolishing a building, so on and so forth. So, yes.
President Paris.
Yes.
So,
Vice President Santiago.
to Mr. Robertosi, Dr. Robertosi, sorry. So I asked for, would we get the demographer's report? You said yes, we would get that. If we then review that and somebody doesn't agree with the data or wants to challenge, or can we do that?
Challenge the data or challenge the decision to make it a
Challenge the
middle
recommendation.
school? Sure, but at the end of the day, it's only a recommendation. It's my recommendation that you'd be voting on. So I guess the answer is sure, you absolutely could challenge that demographer's report. You could hire another demographer to review it. But at the end of the day, the only action you're taking is to vote on the recommendation for the school itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm just saying, just some wild example that they choose schools or, the criteria that they chose, and it just seems as, I believe Commissioner Mejia said, these schools are from one section or whatever reason that any one of us feels.
Excuse me, are you asking for, to question the recommendation of being a middle school, high school, elementary school?
No.
Or
So
where the kids will be
I'll be clear. Let's say the three closest schools to Valley Road to the school are the ones that are selected. Period. Somebody might not think that that's the right way to do it. So,
I get what you're saying, okay. So the recommendation.
depending upon what the demographer, right? They're a consultant, they're a third party. I'm sure they're professional and they're qualified and they're going to give great data. But on the chance that they come back and somebody thinks that it's not the best recommendation, the schools that were chosen, what can we do?
And Mr. Santiago, just so you know, while I fully expect that I'm going to recommend what the professional recommends, if we don't think it makes sense,
we're not beholden to that report, right?
Correct.
So if we, have a more efficient way or a better way, or a way that's less busing, or, certainly my recommendation could be different than the report.
Okay. Dr. Dan?
So I do want to say that I do agree with Ms. Bassford and Mr. Siano on the way it's. I thought the rollout just would be a little bit different. That was, again, but I'm not saying, to hold it up, because I do understand that that would be a huge, disruption to, what we're planning to do here. I get that. And I think that, Mr. Santiago, what you said, I would think that that is sort of what Mr. Mejia is looking for, to be able that we have some ability to put some input into, when we get this study, that if there's something that we see, I think that's like what I think you would be okay with. I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but that's like from what I heard, that's what it seemed like. That, it's not, there's like, this is the final word, but there could be something that you would feel much more comfortable than maybe, voting on that, knowing that you have that option, So I think that was, because that was going to be one of my questions was, is this the final say in the word and that's it? Then, like, we didn't even see it. So
Dr. Dandy, just going to reiterate what Dr. Robertoni said. They will give us a recommendation of what they believe is best. Ultimately, the recommendation will come from administration through Dr. Robertoni to the board. But it is, and for lack of a better phrase, it is negotiable. So just because they say schools 27, 28, 29 have to go to this new school, that is not law, that is not concrete. We can make tweaks, within the confines of, legal bounds to ensure that, it is encompassing of, socioeconomic status and all the diversity components that come along with it. So the board will ultimately see the recommendation from Dr. Robertozzi and have input as to if they believe it is equitable. And by all accounts, there are only 2 firms in the state that do this. And they are one of the 2 best. So I know they have a really good reputation. Their reference list, they've done almost every single district in the state. So we have full confidence in their reporting and what they've been doing. They've been keeping us in the loop every step of the way. And I do believe it'll be a recommendation that we can all be proud of.
And remember, we're not voting this evening on which schools are being sent to the new school. We don't have that data yet anyway to even consider. So what we're only voting on tonight is to authorize Mr. Shahada to get the application finished for a middle school there.
Again, if the majority of this board says that you need to wait, we respect that decision. I don't personally or professionally think it's necessary, but if you felt or if you were told that there needed to be more input or more community input, and you felt like the process wasn't the correct one, then I respect that and I understand it. So I'm not sure really what else I could say. So if you guys want to vote or motion, it's up to you.
There's a motion, otherwise we move on. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Robertozzi. Thank you, everyone,
welcome,
for
Mr.
a very vigorous and healthy discussion. It's getting late, and I always try to have public recognition by 8 p.m. so that I'm not tying up everybody's evening. So I'm going to change the order a little bit here and open up. We'll start with virtual, if there's anyone in the virtual room for public recognition.
One person.
Oh, and let me do one bit of business before we do that. I'm sorry. This portion of the meeting is open to the residents and non-residents of Clifton for the purpose of addressing any subject matter pertinent to and are directly related to the operation of the Clifton Public School District. Residents and non-residents are requested to sign the register provided for this purpose and to state their names, addresses, and subject matter. Comments are limited to 5 minutes per person. Issues raised by members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board. All comments will be considered and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding students and employees of the board are discouraged and will not be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The board bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comments made by members of the public. Members of the public should consider their comments in light of the legal rights of those affected or identified in their comments and be aware that they are legally responsible and liable for their comments. Now, Mr. Rose, is there anyone
Yes, there is.
online?
Okay, Gary, we have Gary.
Gary, you have the floor if you can hear me.
Hi there. Sorry. The last I heard, the
Can
new
you
middle
please-
school would also still be a church. Is that correct?
Can you please share your name, please, and city of residence?
I'm so sorry. I really can't hear you.
Can you share your name and city of residence?
Oh, sure. Gary Laurie, and I'm in Clifton.
Thank you.
And your question was?
The last I read, the new middle school would also still be functioning as a church. Is that correct?
That is not correct.
Oh, all right. Very good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Was that all?
That was it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Motion to close?
Second.
Second.
Motion to close by Commissioner Brunstjack, seconded by Commissioner Basford. Would invite anyone up to our public recognition table, should you like to make any comments now?
You got a microphone over there?
Yeah. Hello. Well, good evening. It's on? Okay, thank you. All right, good evening. My name's Lori Lalama, and I'm the president of the CEA. So, my discussion tonight is, did you know investing in our schools means we're investing in our future? Today I stand before you to talk about something that affects all of us, our schools, our students, and the future of our community. We are at a critical point where we must decide whether to invest in the success of our children or allow our schools to struggle with rising costs and increasing demands. That is why a 2% increase in the school budget is not just necessary, it's essential. Under New Jersey law, school districts are permitted to increase their tax levy to 2% to accommodate the rising costs, benefits, salaries, programs. This cap, established under the state's budgetary guidelines, ensures that schools can maintain financial stability while continuing to provide high-quality education. However, this 2% increase is not automatic. Districts must advocate for it, and that's what I'm doing, to ensure that we can keep up with inflation, maintain staffing levels, and support our students' programs. Without this adjustment, schools may face budget shortfalls, forcing cuts to critical services, extracurricular activities, and resources that directly impact student success. Our superintendent, Dr. Danny Robertosi, during the new teacher meeting at the beginning of the school year, always stresses the importance of loving our students. This is the key. When we truly care for our students, we ensure that they have the best resources, opportunities, and support to thrive, and that requires adequate funding. This small but in fact impactful increase means maintaining class sizes and allow teachers to give each student the attention they deserve. It means providing updated textbooks, technology, and resources that prepare our students for a rapidly evolving world. It means keeping our schools safe, our facilities well maintained, and our staff supported. The cost of living rises each year, so do costs of running the schools. Without this increase, we lose vital programs, extracurricular activities, and even essential staff. That's not just a loss for our students, but a loss for our entire community. Strong schools create strong communities. They attract families, increase property values, and ensure the next generation is equipped with the skills that they need to be successful. Let's be clear. This is not about excess spending. This is about responsible investment. A 2% increase ensures that we continue providing quality education that every child here in Clifton deserves without compromising their future. So I urge you, support this increase, support our students, support our schools, because when we invest in education, we invest in a brighter, stronger future for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who'd like to either pick the podium or the table, whichever you feel more comfortable at? They're gravitating towards the podium, so maybe you should just keep the podium up.
Good evening. Just a simple question. I know at Tuesday's budget meeting, it was mentioned that I believe it was my understanding at least, that staffing was covered under the last budget, that the expenses for this school were budgeted already. But I think, once again, if I understood correctly, that we'd be staffing, as we're incrementally adding students to the school, I think you mentioned at least that we're going to be doing new hires. I don't know if it's every year or something like that. So maybe before making this kind of decision that you all will have to make soon, is getting projected numbers of what we're looking for in the future, because you have to plan for that now. Unless, and then we'll be stuck there saying, if we don't do this now, then students are going to lose and kids are going to lose. And then you're almost stuck in that position again. So if we're hearing that there are going to be costs that are coming with this, I think it's better that we act now and get those numbers now and see what those projected costs are going to be so that you're ready. And that's all. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to make a comment this evening?
Yeah, so I just had a question regarding the new middle school as well. The location of the middle school to me is interesting considering its proximity to Woodrow Wilson. So obviously more of the students are going to be taken from that would have gone to Woodrow Wilson are now going to be going to this middle school. So are we potentially anticipating any students that would have gone to the Christopher Columbus Middle School sent to Woodrow instead to even out the numbers, or is that not an option?
Mr. Paris, I'll answer that if you don't mind.
Go right ahead.
Mark, we are expecting some students who are slated for Columbus to go to the new middle school.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Anyone else like to approach the podium this evening?
Good evening, Donna Popowich. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of the Clifton Little Pantry Program, and we want to extend our incredible thank you to the families, the staff, and everyone at Clifton Public Schools. You recently, in February, had a Valentine's Day food drive for us, and the response was overwhelming. You know, here we are pulling up in our little SUVs to a school, and we each have our list of about 6 schools to pick up from. And after every single school, I had to go home and empty. It was, some of the schools, we had to make 2-3 trips with our cars. It was a testament to what we are teaching the students of this community about caring, about what it means to be community. And I just want to thank you, and I want to say it was absolutely heartwarming. And I also want to thank the Clifton Education Association, who also filled our pantries for an entire month. They they raised food, they had their own drive, they packed the pantries. It was absolutely wonderful. Without your help, you have really made our next few months just that much easier. I can tell you we all breathed a sigh of relief. You know, we were down to dusting, you know, off the shelves, and suddenly we had to run out to Home Depot and buy tubs to store food, and we are extremely, extremely happy. And so thank you so much to everyone, parents, students, administration, teachers, the CEA, everyone. It was just absolutely wonderful. Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to talk about, for me, I don't know. I mean, you've been talking about this school last time I came. I just knew it was a middle school. I don't know how I knew that. I just made sense to me, because if you're having more preschools, you need to make preschools in where you have the people who don't have the transportation. So like turning that into a preschool, but then not providing transportation didn't make sense. And since we're getting rid of the Department of Education, it looks like I don't think you're going to have any money for a preschool. So that was kind of a waste. High school, that doesn't every time we've tried, I was there the last time we had that annex for the high school. Yeah, that did not work, because then no one wanted to go there. There were extracurriculars. There was blah, blah, blah. I'm telling you, it was a million problems. As someone who was teaching at the high school at the time, please do not do that to the staff. So I don't know. I just assumed it'd be a middle school, because our middle schools are overcrowded and we're not giving them what they need. They're doing an excellent job. Do not get me wrong. But, you know, we're not giving them the tools they need. There's too many kids. We're trying to do a lot of character education, and you can't do character education when you have 32 kids in a room, because they're all characters. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else like to approach the podium?
Motion to close?
Second.
Okay, seeing none, motion to close by Commissioner Brunstjack, seconded by Commissioner Mejia. Okay, next up is board committee reports. I'd like to start with residency, security, and technology. That's Vice President Santiago, please.
Thank you, President Paris. The Residency, Security, and Technology meeting took place on Wednesday, February 19, 2025, and began at 5:02 p.m. In attendance from administration were Mr. Gingaro, Mr. Doctor, Mrs. Zanola, Mr. Mountain. Board of Education members in attendance were myself, Commissioner Canova, Commissioner Ciano, and President Paris. Mr. Doctor explained that since the last meeting, 18 non-residents were identified and removed from Clifton Public Schools at a savings of $350,784 based on the cost of educating a Clifton student. He also explained that pre-K and kindergarten registration opened on February 19th. Ms. Zanola stated that the drill of the month shelter-in-place transition to lockdown was successfully completed by all schools in January. It was also shared that a former Clifton High School graduate is now working at Passaic County Sheriff's Department and providing our elementary schools with presentations on internet safety, both for students and parents. The presentation is a very heavy focus on social media and video games. It discusses the current dangerous trends found on apps, websites, and video games commonly used by minors, and brings to light the threats and dangers online predators pose to children. Mr. Mountain explained that security and referendum projects are moving along and are in the final stages of installation. Mr. Canova inquired as to the fees associated with damaged or destroyed Chromebooks within the district. Mr. Mountain reassured the committee that fines are based on excessive and potentially intentional damage to the Chromebooks. Fines are not levied for normal wear and tear of the Chromebooks. Cell signals at various schools was also discussed. It was determined that the issues lie with the cell phone companies, and Mr. Mountain will work with other stakeholders to draft a board resolution to send to the companies, imploring them to increase their service in the area for safety reasons. The meeting was adjourned at 5:47 p.m.
Thank you. Anyone with questions? Okay, seeing none, then we'll move on to policy minutes. Commissioner Suarez, please.
Thank you, President Paris. Let me just make large the print because there's some reading to be done. The meeting took place on February 19th. Those in attendance were myself, Commissioner Santiago, Commissioner Mejia, and President Paris. Administration who were present were Mr. Gingaro, Ms. Kusevich, Mr. Shahada, and Ms. Maggie Miller. The meeting began at 4 p.m. Items of discussion. General policy and regulation updates. We discussed policy P2365, acceptable use of generative artificial intelligence, which is a new policy. Policy Guide 2365 includes a list of general AI issues for a board to consider, including in greater detail in its district's AI plan. The list may be revised and/or expanded to meet local needs. Policy Guide 2365 authorizes the superintendent to revise or suspend a provision in Policy Guide 2365 or the district's AI plan. There is currently no statute or administrative code that addresses student use of AI. Therefore, the board has flexibility to determine the extent it wants to permit student use of generative AI. Policy Guide 2365 is provided to assist a board in developing an AI plan. Policy Guide 2365 is not the district's AI plan. I am recommending this go to Education Committee to discuss the policy and to develop an AI plan tailored to local needs. Policy 5111, eligibility of resident, non-resident students, revised. Policy Guide 5111 was previously revised in Policy Alert 231 to comply with NJSA 18A38.3 that prohibits admission of non-resident students to a district without the payment of tuition, except for those non-resident students who are children of board-employed teaching staff members. However, NJSA 18A38.3 is vague in regards to what staff members are considered teaching staff members, and also does not mention whether a student who moves to or from a school district in the middle of a school year is covered. In Clifton, we do charge staff for non-resident tuition, and it is only for certified staff. The committee is in agreement with current procedure in place. P5460, high school graduation, revised. Policy Guide 5460 has been revised to include a new graduation requirement for high school graduating classes of 2025, 2026, and 2027. On January 16, 2024, PL 2023 C295 was enacted, which states a board will require a student and the student's parent, if applicable, to complete and submit a financial aid application in a form prescribed by the New Jersey Higher Education Assistance Authority Policy Guide 5460 is mandated as NJAC 6A 85.1 states a board shall develop, adopt, and implement graduation requirements that prepare students for success in post-secondary degree programs, careers, and civic life in the 21st century. Policy 5516, use of electronic communication devices, revised. Policy Guide 5516 prohibits a student or school staff member from being video or audio recorded or audio or video recording others without the consent of the student's parent or school staff member. Policy Guide 5516 also addresses the student's personal use of an electronic communication device, to include cell phones, during the school day. As districts are considering limitations on a student's use of an electric communication device, specifically the use of cell phones during the school day, Strauss-Esme has rewritten Policy Guide 5516 to incorporate the provisions of the existing Policy Guide 5516 with the new provisions of prohibiting or limiting the use of an electronic communication devices during the school day. Districts have been requesting a cell phone policy that prohibits and/or limits students' use of cell phones for personal use during the day. Revised Policy Guide 5516 provides general requirements and defines electronic communication devices to include, but not limited to, cell phones, smartwatches, tablets, earbuds, wireless headphones, and other devices. There is currently no statute or administrative code that addresses student use of electronic communication devices in schools. Therefore, a board has the ability to revise Policy and Regulation Guides 5516 to meet local needs. Policy and Regulation Guides 5516 were developed based upon research regarding the trends throughout the country. A board that wants to limit student cell phone use may revise the times used is permitted and may want to establish different times of the school day for use for different grade levels. In summary, a board has a lot of flexibility in addressing student use of electronic devices in schools and may develop rules and discipline that are not included in Regulation Guide 5516. A district that does not want to establish district-wide rules regarding student use of wireless communication devices during the school day does not need to. Currently, the administration has a place and plan that seems to be working at the secondary level. It was agreed upon to keep the current practice in place as we await guidance from the NJDOE. Policy 5701, Academic Integrity, revised. Strauss Esme has developed a new policy guide, 5701, Academic Integrity, to replace the existing policy guide, 5701, Plagiarism. There were no changes to the language of the policy, only the name. Policy 5510, Student Grievance, revised. Policy Guide 5710 has been revised to provide more details regarding the student grievance process. The revised Policy Guide 5710 requires written documentation supporting the grievance, timelines to file a grievance, and timelines for a district official to respond to a grievance. The procedure in Policy Guide 5710 shall be used to address the student grievance unless the board policy or act of a school employee being challenged is governed by a board policy, regulation, or other grievance procedure specifically designed to address the conduct in question. Policy 8500, Food Services, revised. The Working Class Families Anti-Hunger Act has been revised, and the following statute sections have changed, which necessitates revisions to Policy Guide 8500. NJSA 18A 33-3.2, 18A 33-4, 18A 33-11, 18A 33-14A, 18A 33-21, 18A 33-21B1, 18A 33-21.1, and 18A 3327.2. The revisions to the statutes include, but are not limited to, new terminology, expansion of income eligibility to qualify students for free meals, and additional parental notification of school meal information. I got a few more pages, everyone, so please be patient. Policy 9163, Spectator Code of Conduct or Interscholastic Events, which is new. New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association is requiring every member school to adopt a Spectator Code of Conduct policy during 2024-2025 school year as per an NJSIAA guidance dated May 8, 2024. Policy Guide 9163 includes 3 options explained below. Option 1. This option provides the school district the ability to impose disciplinary action to a person that is found to have exhibited unsportsmanlike conduct at any way interscholastic event, to include the suspension from attending a subsequent home events in school district. Option 2. This option addresses the situation when a person is immediately removed from an interscholastic event for an activity and the suspension from subsequent home events cannot be imposed because the suspension exceeds the remaining home events for the activity or season. This option indicates any remaining suspension shall carry over into the first home event of the activity in the next school year. Option 3. This option permits the principal or designee to suspend a person from attending home interscholastic events in excess of the suspension provisions in this policy if the person violates the policy multiple times as determined by the board within a fixed period of time to be determined by the board. The committee is recommending a hybrid of options 1 and 2. Part 2. A uniform state memorandum of agreement between education and law enforcement officials, 2023 revisions. Policy 5512, harassment, intimidation, or bullying, revised. Policy 5533, student smoking, revised. Policy 7441, electronic surveillance in school buildings and on school grounds. Policy 9320, cooperation with law enforcement agencies, revised. The Uniform State Memorandum of Agreement between Education and Law Enforcement Officials, MOA, was revised in 2023. All school districts must annually review, revise when appropriate, and adopt the MOA pursuant to the NJAC 6A16 6.2B13 through 14. The MOA provides a much greater level of detail regarding NJAC 6A16-6 and all of the requirements outlined therein. Strauss Esme has reviewed the revised MOA and made the appropriate revisions to the policy and regulation guides included in this policy alert, which addresses a wide range of topics. This was recently updated by the state, and these policies reflect the new updates, terminology required under the MOA. All policies will be recommended for first reading, respectfully submitted by Mr. Ahmed Shahada. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Commissioner Suarez. That was quite a read.
Mr. Paris, I would just like to say there was 230 pages worth of policy alerts, and I got down to 5. So
That was excellent summary.
Thank you.
If you really, the detail is all in our first reading on today's agenda. Any questions for Commissioner Mejia?
So I know that we've already been starting to implement the policy about having every student complete a FAFSA. I'm getting a lot of parents asking me if I could help out their student fill out a FAFSA. Are we doing any workshops with one of our partner schools, or is that only going to, or has that not been communicated yet? Because they're just told to fill it out.
What do you mean by partner schools? Like a
our
college?
MOU schools, yeah. Are they having their FAFSA
I'm not sure, but I
teams?
do believe, and Ms. Kuzlevich can correct me if I'm wrong, that
The guidance department.
yes, Jen Bergman.
I'm actually looking up the notification that I received from her regarding this. But the guidance department has done quite a bit of work with our students. The counselors have met with them. Everything was released to them, and there is support available. Hold on, I'm just trying to find it right now. Sorry.
For those of you who might not know what Mr. May is talking about, it's a new graduation requirement that's for the state of New Jersey that parents are required to fill out the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, regardless of whether the child intends to go to secondary college or trade school or anything. There is a waiver process. I'm not sure what that entails.
So that is the part that that's the part that we're required to complete. We are required to ensure that every family checks off. There's a survey that's part of real time where they have to check off if they're going to be completing FAFSA or not. They have to, they fill out on that survey that they're going to fill out the FAFSA, or if they're not going to, and if they say no, they're not going to, then that they apply for what is called a waiver. If they say yes, then our guidance department checks with the state to make sure that they've done it. And if they have said yes, that they're going to be doing it and they need support, then the guidance counselors can reach out to provide that support. And our this is kind of happening right now to make sure that it had been completed on time.
Yeah, I'm only asking because on Saturday I did get people asking, can you help them out? I'm like, I don't know. I can't personally host a workshop saying, let's all do it all at once, you know? So if we host a workshop, that'd probably be the best case scenario.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other questions?
Yes, President Paris.
Yes, Vice President San.
On the communication policy, just want to, like a quick refresher on, currently at the high school, our students, there are little, I don't know, pouches where they leave their cell phone in the front of the classroom. Is that correct? Somebody?
Yes.
And then the middle schools, they leave it in a
Backpack in the front of the
in the backpack in the front of the class. Just refresh for everyone. And then in the beginning of it, it talks about consent. Obviously, you always want parents' consent for pictures, videos, etc. I believe our parents sign some sort of release, just overall, because you will have events, the teacher's doing something, whatever it is, and they sign that release. We just had Read Across America, right? We all read, we have pictures, etc. Does that cover that kind of a scenario, or no?
Yes, Mr. Santiago, yes, it does. And the parents fill that out before the school year starts in the parent portal. It's one of the mandatory questions that they have to answer each year, whether or not they get permission for their children to be videotaped and pictures utilized. So that does cover that.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Mejia.
I know I mentioned it during our policy committee meeting. I know at the time Governor Murphy had said that he was giving out grants, I think, for the pouches to put your phones in. Would we be able to apply for reimbursement through one of those grants?
Nothing's come out yet.
No, I believe it's targeted schools that those grants are going to.
Okay.
Like it's like the schools that signed up as like pilots, or I don't know if there was a sign up process, but it is specific schools that was hand selected by the the governor's office.
Yeah, I was on a webinar this morning, and there's $3 million statewide for this rollout.
Those pilots.
They didn't say exactly what it, no, they didn't say it was limited to anyone necessarily. So it might be a possibility, it might be open to apply for.
I was under the impression it was a limited.
Well, certainly if we
School.
have the opportunity to apply, we absolutely will. If we could get some money back. At the middle school level, as Mr. Santiago mentioned, they keep the phones in their backpacks, but at the high school, they're putting them, not necessarily in one of those Yonder pouches. That's the company that's selling them. They're pretty expensive, and like theaters are using those now. I don't know that that's necessary. I don't know that we need to spend the money on that, but if we can get some money, we'll definitely give it a shot.
They just call it cell phone removal grants, so they didn't specify. It's some new funding that's coming in this year's budget. Hasn't been passed yet, but it's in the proposal that will be voted on by the state legislature. Okay, anyone else on this one? Okay, last one under minutes is education and special education, and that would be Commissioner Dr. Danny.
Thank you, President Paris. The committee met February 19, 2025. The meeting began at 6 p.m. Present were myself, the chair, Alan Paris, president, Tanya Suarez, commissioner, and Joe Canova, commissioner. From the administration, we had Dr. Danny Robertozzi, superintendent of schools, Mark Gingaro, assistant superintendent, Ahmed Shahada, assistant superintendent of business, Janina Kusalevich, assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction, Vanessa Gava, principal, CCMS, Andrew Yeager, principal, WWMS, Heather Rotolo, director of special services. 8th grade end-of-year events options. Ms. Gaba, Mr. Yeager reviewed current end-of-year 8th grade activities and events, which include school-based awards assemblies, Who's Who superlative assembly, 8th grade field day, yearbook signing, and 8th grade breakfast or barbecue. Options to provide an 8th grade moving up ceremony were discussed. The major concerns addressed included safety, security, parent participation, parking, building capacity, and auditorium capacity during the school day given the size of each 8th grade class. Evening options, use of stadium, and use of high school were also explored. Costs associated with security and staffing for multiple evening events were also shared. A virtual streaming of existing assemblies was also discussed. Other options for bringing the parents and school community together were also presented, such as diversity dinner at CCMS, staff versus student events, parent math or academic nights, HSA meetings and events. Commissioner Joe Canova asked that we explore additional options to improve parent involvement and opportunities for community and parent engagement. Commissioner Suarez discussed parent videos for viewing at home to showcase events and student activities. Action informational. Updates on Pope Paul property. Mr. Shahada shared updates on the lease. Ms. Kusalevich presented various aspects of the One Clifton survey and preliminary demographic study, as well as district programming and space needs, all of which supported using the site as a middle school. The proposal is to open a middle school with a grade-by-grade rollout, redistributing 3 to 4 elementary, sending schools from CCMS and Woodrow Wilson Middle School, representing 200 to 250 rising 5th graders, balancing busing and socioeconomic status. A plan for a 3-year rollout was presented as follows: 2025 to 26 school year, about 200 students, 6th graders rising 5th grade from selected schools. 2026 to 27 school year, 400 students, 6th and 7th graders. 2027 to 2028 school year, 600 students, 6th, 7th, 8th graders. Hiring an administrator to work collaboratively with CCMS and WWMS. Scheduling equity, courses, additional information was discussed. Action informational. Continuing SCL and counseling needs, Ms. Kusalevich shared updates on integration of PBIS and INRS into a unified, multi-tiered system of supports in the Linkit program to assist with academic and behavioral interventions and supports. Rebranding of our programs to help the community and parents better understand what our schools offer and can provide to students was discussed. Action informational. Reformatting of English course offerings at CHS. Ms. Kuselevich shared that Mr. White and the English teachers at CHS revised existing English 10, 11, and 12 curriculum, taking student input to create course choices by student interest topics including literature through film, short story, science fiction, edge-of-your-seat thrillers, among many others. Students select their top 3 choices for scheduling. Action informational. Special education updates. Ms. Rotolo shared information about the continued increases in special education referrals and challenges in finding space and staff to fill growing self-contained and specialized classes. She referred to the integrated MTSS, INRS, PBIS to help support students in the least restrictive environment of the general education classroom. Ms. Rotolo provided updates on CPAG meetings, touchscreen Chromebooks, and student engagement activities including tours of middle school and elementary schools for smoother transitions, the Project Unify basketball game, Lifetown trips, and Polar Plunge fundraiser and team for Special Olympics. Action informational. The Zinn Project Foundation teaching. Ms. Kuselevich shared a professional development opportunity for staff, including a teaching for Black Lives Study Group. The district will apply for the grant based on the ongoing application process. Action informational. Calendar input and multicultural crosswalks. Dr. Robertozzi discussed priorities and the changing calendar based on teacher input. Celebration of Juneteenth and the option to amend the calendar were discussed. Options for calendar change were proposed and will be brought to the district collaborative and the next Board of Education meeting. The district lessons about the many mandated and multicultural days, including Juneteenth, MLK, and Indigenous peoples, as well as in school lessons about Veterans Day, were discussed. The pros and cons of a day off from school to celebrate versus explicit lessons in each school and grade on such days was discussed. Action bring calendar change choice to the full board meeting. Better branding and parent outreach. Ms. Kuselevich discussed a project to better communicate curriculum, programs, and school offerings via multiple methods, including expanding the adult evening ESL program to include a parent university, more instructional workshops for parents to better understand what we can do for our children, better exposure through social media, including videos, interview, and other posts. Action informational. Meeting was adjourned at 7:42 p.m. Any questions?
Commissioner Brunciak.
Thank you, Mr. President. Are we adding an additional day to the end of the year as a result of that?
This is
To the school calendar?
something that Dr. Robertozzi will discuss, and it is a discussion that we're going to have as a full board.
Mr. Brunciak, at this time, the resolution, if the board passes tonight, will not add a day, but will remove a snow day. So we'll, instead of 3 snow days next year, we'll have 2.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Dr. Danny. We have 3 minutes that need adoption, February 13th, February 20th, and February 27th. Is there a motion to approve those?
Second.
Motion by Dr. Danny,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Suarez. Any discussions? Roll call, where is he? Mr. Shahada, no. All right, well,
It's a very important errand.
do you have anything, superintendent's report?
I have one announcement. If you want to
Okay.
do that real quick?
Yeah.
Okay.
We need a roll call, Mr. Shahada.
Get Joe Tylenol, he's about to pass out. Forgot mine. Went back together. Thank you, sir.
Lucky I came back, huh?
For approving the minutes.
Approving the
Thank you.
minutes.
Sorry, guys, about that.
Motion to approve the minutes of February 13th, 20th,
Motion.
and 27th.
Second.
Bassford, Mejia.
What?
It was, yeah.
Commissioner Passford.
Ms. Bassford?
Yes?
Mr. Bruntiak?
Yes.
Dr. Danny?
Yes.
Mr. Mejia?
Yes.
Mr. Ciano?
Yes, but I'm abstaining on February 27th meeting.
Ms. Suarez?
Yes.
Vice President Santiago?
Yes.
President Paris?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Do you have any additional comments, Dr. Roberts?
Mr. Paris, I just have one, I spoke enough tonight, so I just have one announcement that I'd like the board and the community to be aware of. As part of the district's commitment to ensure every child is fed, for the first time, we are piloting a lunch program for students during spring break. This initiative was spearheaded by Mr. Shahada, whose dedication to our students' well-being does not go unnoticed. In collaboration with Pomptonian, we will be using 2 locations, Clifton High School and School 17, to serve meals, a breakfast-lunch combo. And once we finalize all the details, we'll share more information with the board, and we'll send communication to the entire community. And hopefully this pilot will be a success so that we can make sure no child goes hungry even when school is out. Thank you, Mr. Paris.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Robertosi. We have a resolution for National Women's History Month. Commissioner Bassford, could you please read our resolution?
I thought I was just reading something else. It's Resolution B1.
B1, yes.
National Women's History Month. Whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historical contributions to the growth and strength of the nation in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. Whereas American women have played and continue to play a critical economic, cultural, and social role in every sphere of our nation's life by constituting a significant portion of the labor force working in and outside the home. Whereas American women have played a unique role throughout our history by providing the majority of the nation's volunteer labor force and have been particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions in this country. Whereas a celebration of women's progress and contributions to this country since its founding. This year's theme is Moving Forward Together, Women Educating and Inspiring Generations. It celebrates the collective strength and influence of women who have dedicated their lives to education, mentorship, and leadership. Therefore, be it resolved that the Clifton Board of Education honors the contribution that women have made throughout history and commit to support efforts to improve opportunities for women and declare March as National Women's History Month. Congratulations to all the women involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bassford. Next is a resolution recognizing School Social Work Week, which is March 2nd through 8th, 2025. Commissioner Suarez, please.
Thank you, President Paris. I always say once a social worker, always a social worker. Public content. Whereas school social workers are essential members of the educational team, helping students overcome social, emotional, and behavioral challenges that impact their ability to succeed in school. And whereas school social workers provide critical services, including counseling, crisis intervention, mental health support, and connecting families with valuable community resources. And whereas school social workers play a vital role in promoting equity and inclusion by addressing barriers to learning and advocating for students in need. And whereas the National Association of Social Workers has designated the week of March 2nd through 8th, 2025 as School Social Work Week, providing an opportunity to recognize and appreciate the contributions of school social workers to student success and well-being. And whereas the Clifton Board of Education values and acknowledges the dedication, compassion, and expertise of school social workers who support the students and families of Clifton Public Schools, now therefore be it resolved that the Clifton Board of Education does hereby recognize March 2nd through 8th, 2025 as School Social Work Week and expresses its sincere gratitude to the school social workers of Clifton Public Schools for their unwavering commitment to our students, families, and school community. Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you.
God bless you. And thank you, Commissioner Suarez. We have a resolution recognizing Irish Heritage Month this month. Vice President Santiago. Please
Thank
read
you. Thank you, President Paris. Resolution recognizing Irish Heritage Month. Whereas Irish Americans have made significant contributions to the cultural, economic, and social fabric of the United States, and their legacy of resilience, ingenuity, and commitment to education continues to inspire generations. And whereas the month of March is nationally recognized as Irish Heritage Month, a time to celebrate the rich history, traditions, and achievements of Irish Americans, including their contributions to education and public service. And whereas millions of Americans, including many residents of Clifton, trace their ancestry to Ireland, enriching our community with Irish customs, music, literature, and values of hard work and perseverance. And whereas the Clifton Board of Education acknowledges and values the contributions of Irish Americans in the fields of education, science, business, and the arts, as well as their dedication to civic engagement and social justice. And whereas fostering an appreciation of diverse cultures, including Irish heritage, enhances the educational experience of our students and promotes understanding and unity within our schools and community. And therefore, be it resolved that the Clifton Board of Education proudly recognizes March 2025 as Irish Heritage Month and encourages students, educators, and community members to engage in activities that celebrate and honor the history and contributions of Irish Americans. And be it further resolved that copies of the resolution be shared with the Clifton community and school district to promote awareness and appreciation of Irish heritage throughout the month of March. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Santiago. April 16th is designated as Clifton Public Schools observance of Bring Your Child to Work Day. Commissioner Brunsiak, can you please read that proclamation?
Thank you, Mr. President. Whereas the National Observance of Bring Your Child to Work Day is scheduled for Thursday, April 24th, 2025, and whereas Clifton Public Schools will be on spring break from April 21st to April 25th, 2025, making participation on the national date impractical, and has determined it is in the best interest of students and families to observe Bring Your Child to Work Day on an alternate date. And whereas after reviewing Administrative Code at NJAC 68328-4E4, which designates Bring Your Child to Work Day as a state-recognized excused absence, the Clifton Public Schools shall hold Bring Your Child to Work Day on Wednesday, April 16th, April 2025. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Clifton Board of Education designates Wednesday, April 16th, 2025 as the official observance of Bring Your Child to Work Day for Clifton Public Schools, and be it further resolved that any student participating on this date shall have their absence recognized and excused, provided that the proper documentation is submitted in accordance with district policies.
Thank you, Commissioner Brunsiak. It's a great event for our families here in town. Looking for a motion to approve under B, Education Administration, items number 1 through 14.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Suarez, seconded by Commissioner Dr. Danny. Any discussion? Roll call, Mr. Shahada.
Sorry.
Oh, yes, Commissioner Suarez.
Just about the policies for, I guess I just wanted, there were just some cross-outs for the words guardian. I know that this happened a few months ago. As this is the first reading, I just wanted to put my thoughts that if we can keep guardian instead of just only parent.
Okay,
That's all.
this is first reading, so it's exactly the time to
Okay.
look at these amendments. So we
and-
can bring that back to Policy Committee before the second reading.
Okay, and then secondly, it just doesn't seem consistent. There's some parts of the policy that has the board and it specifically crosses out of education. And then there are other parts that it just says the board and then there's a new bold that says of education. So it's just not consistent in the language, so if we can just have consistency.
Okay.
But that's all.
We can make those adjustments. Okay, Mr. Shada.
Sir. Ms. Bassford?
Yes.
Mr. Bruntiak?
Yes.
Dr. Danny, excuse me.
Yes.
Mr. Mejia?
Yes.
Mr. Ciano?
Yes, with the adjustments that Commissioner Suarez suggested.
Yep, those will be taken up in Policy Committee. Ms. Suarez?
Yes.
Vice President Santiago?
Yes.
President Paris?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Yes, Commissioner Luciano, we'll bring those back to policy. We'll make the revisions for the second reading then. Okay, next we're under C, Personnel. I'm looking for a motion to approve items number 1 through 28.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Bassford.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Mejia. Any discussion? Yes, Commissioner Blanchard.
Yeah, just a request to let Mr. Bertolini speak after the vote.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm sorry it's taken this long, but anyone else? Okay, roll call, Mr. Shahada.
Ms. Bassford?
Yes.
Mr. Bruntiak?
Yes.
Dr. Danny?
Yes.
Mr. Mejia?
Yeah. Yes.
Mr. Ciano?
Yes.
Ms. Suarez?
Yes.
Vice President Santiago?
Yes, abstain on 13 and 23.
And President Paris?
Yes, abstain on 12, 22, and 23.
Motion carries, excuse me.
Mr. Bertolini, you have the floor.
Not that one, Rob. He's got to have a seat button, I'm sorry.
No mic.
Just waiting so long, his hair started growing.
Good evening. This is working, can you hear me?
Test.
No. Green
Good
light on.
evening.
Maybe I
You
gotta
got it.
rethink this recommendation.
Yeah, right? Can't work the microphone.
Putting you on the spot.
Okay. It is both an honor and a privilege to stand before you today as a new principal of our new school. I would first like to express my deepest gratitude to President Paris, Vice President Santiago, and all the Commissioners of the Board of Education for entrusting me with this incredible responsibility. Having spent nearly 2 decades in Clifton, I can honestly say that this is one of the strongest, most dedicated boards I've ever had the pleasure to work for. Your unwavering focus on the best interest of our students is something we all deeply appreciate. I'd like to thank Dr. Robertozzi, our superintendent, for his exceptional leadership. Since Dr. Robertozzi's arrival, our district has made tremendous strides, and Clifton is in a much stronger place today thanks to his vision and commitment. We are incredibly fortunate to have him leading us as we continue to grow and explore uncharted territories. A heartfelt thank you to Assistant Superintendents Ms. Kusalevich and Mr. Shahada for their continued support for all financial concerns, building issues, and curriculum and instruction. Assistant Superintendent Mr. Jagero has been both a mentor and a close friend of mine for over a decade. He has an incredible talent for identifying and nurturing future leaders, and his inspiration for what educational leadership should be is leaving a lasting impact on this district for years to come. As part of his vision, he really understands the importance of training and guiding. All those lessons he taught me through the years have been transformed into something truly special in the Administrator Academy. The impact of these lessons can now reach many more future leaders of Clifton. I can honestly say that this is because of Mark Gingaro that I am the leader I am today. Thank you, Mr. Gingaro. A special thank you to Mr. Dr. and Mrs. Nola for their support and leadership through the years, for the last 4 years as a vice principal at Columbus Middle School. I want to take a moment to express my sincere appreciation to my current administrative team. Vanessa Gaba, our principal at Columbus, has been an extraordinary leader and mentor. The lessons I've learned under her guidance are invaluable, and I'm truly grateful for having had the opportunity to be one of her vice principals. Nicole Turry, my fellow vice principal, has been a consistent source of support. She's been an amazing partner in every sense, and I couldn't have asked for a better colleague to work with at Columbus. I would be remiss if I didn't thank the staff, students, and families of Christopher Columbus community. Columbus will always hold a special place in my heart. The passion, dedication, camaraderie I've experienced there have been second to none. Columbus is the hidden gem in Clifton, and it's because of the incredible people who work there that shine so brightly. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to thank my family, my wife Jillian and my son Bo. Jillian supports me in ways that she will never understand. She is my guide, my voice of reason, and she's never afraid to tell me when I'm wrong, even when I don't want to see it. And believe me, she never misses that opportunity. As I step into this new role, I am fully aware of the challenges ahead, but I am also deeply confident that with the incredible support of our Board of Education and Central Administration, we will meet these challenges head-on and provide our future students with an experience they will cherish and remember. Thank you, Clifton, for this amazing opportunity. I look forward to working with all of you to continue making this district a place where every student can thrive. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Rob.
Congratulations, Mr. Bertolini.
Thank you.
Okay, next under Finance Facilities, looking for a motion to approve items 1 through 13.
Motion.
President Paris, I'd like to pull D3 as a separate vote and discussion. F3. No, it's D3. Finance and
Okay?
Facilities.
All right, so I will amend, looking for a motion to approve under D, items 1 through 13.
Motion.
With the exception of item 3 for further discussion.
Motion.
Motion by Vice President Santiago, seconded by Commissioner Mejia. Any discussion at this point? Roll call.
Ms. Bassford?
Motion to pull everything separately, and then we'll
Three
have...
is separate.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Brunciak? Dr. Danny?
Yes.
Mr. Mejia?
Yes.
Mr. Ciano?
Yes, on facilities, abstaining on permit 5389 for the CLB Early Childhood Advisory Council.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Suarez?
Yes.
Vice President Santiago?
Yes.
President Paris?
Yes.
Motion carries. F3 is a standalone.
Okay, so open up the floor for discussion. Commissioner Bassford?
Yes, so the motion on the floor, the resolution on the agenda is to approve the adoption of the 25-26 preliminary, budget. That would mean with the 2% to go to the county for approval. My question is, what would happen if we didn't approve the 2%?
We would be out of compliance with DOE regulations. We would get,
No.
We would have to adopt another
well,
proposed
I
budget,
believe the
right?
question is if it didn't pass today.
Yeah, but she's, Ms. Bassford's talking about the 2%.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse
Tonight's
me.
resolution is simply to send the budget. So if you,
So what is the budget amount that we're sending, and does it have the 2% raise that we've been discussing
so
from the
the
last
the
meeting?
budget that we will send to the county is 2%. However, it is the preliminary budget and can be changed all the way up until we vote on it in May.
Okay, because I have to know what I'm actually voting on, so I want this community to know exactly what we're voting. So we're voting on a budget tonight to send to the county for approval with the 2% increase in its act.
Correct.
But it's not final.
Not final. Final is May 1st.
I can't say the word.
Preliminary, and it is only for a compliance check to ensure that, we meet all the state's
If
regulations.
the vote goes down to a no, what happens after that?
If this vote, F3, goes down to a no,
We would have to
we would have to call us
propose, we would have to revise it and make another
meeting.
proposal.
It'd have to be another meeting, and then we'd,
And what date does it have to be in by?
Monday. I believe,
So-
when is the 17th?
If the board vote, so just to be clear, you're voting to give the administration permission to send this to the county. If you don't want to grant permission to send it to the county because it's at 2%, you vote no. We'll have to keep voting until we get one that you say yes to. We have to pass this tonight. We have to get approval from the board to send a budget.
I
Fair?
just want to be clear so everybody
Yep.
knows what we're doing.
So, yeah, just
we're-
want to make sure. And so, guys, if you vote yes tonight, doesn't mean you're for 2%, against 2%. It means that you're saying we can send it to the county. If, however, you're not comfortable with us sending it to the county because of that 2%, and we don't get a majority vote, then the next recommendation will be 1%. And then the next recommendation will be 0%. Knowing that whatever happens, could be changed up until the night of the May 1st board meeting.
Correct, and just I don't even want to complicate matters. Dr. Robertosi is correct.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, then a motion to approve item 3, adoption of the 2025-26 preliminary budget.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Suarez, seconded by Commissioner Mejia. Roll call, Mr. Shahada.
Ms. Bassford?
Come back to me, I want to pass.
Okay. Mr. Brunciak?
No.
Dr. Danny?
No.
Mr. Ciano?
No.
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Mejia. My
No.
apologies. You said no? Mr. Ciano?
No.
Ms. Suarez?
Yes.
Vice President Santiago?
Yes.
President Paris?
Yes.
Come back to me.
Ms. Bassford?
No.
Motion does not carry.
I make a motion to propose 1%.
I second that.
In code, and Ms. Miller can correct me if I'm wrong, if the vote does not pass, as which it did not, the board needs to instruct me explicitly what to cut from the budget. Now.
Then during Tuesday's meeting, why weren't we told that?
I say that same line every year at this meeting.
I didn't hear that.
Last year I said the same exact
Please,
thing.
somebody chime in if I'm wrong.
I was never
Well,
told that.
listen,
Never knew
if
that.
the board, if a majority of the board is directing us to send a budget with 1% increase tonight, can't we just vote on that resolution?
Yeah.
And it could be, I mean,
You have to, right, because you have to send a compliant budget, so what are?
oh, we have to send a
compliant
budget. We
budget.
got to send a budget, so
With-
we need a yes vote.
Right, but just taking 1%, where are you
I-
taking it from, so you have nothing?
I have
think that's what you're
nothing,
saying,
because
right?
the
You're not-
budget is something that the board votes on. I can't just arbitrarily cut
So-
1% without their approval.
So my question is, can what you're saying, the specific thing needs to be cut? Can it be, not so specific, but general? For example, not that they would do this, but we only need to take 1% from programming, or 1% from curriculum, or 1% from staff. Is that enough?
No, because the budget that we present to them shows them specifically, $10 going here, $20 going there.
But they don't have that.
I understand.
Okay, but I don't understand how you can't plan for, to understand that maybe it could be a no vote, there's no backup?
No, there's no backup, because
nobody makes
this
a
is only
backup?
sent for compliance purposes. This budget is not a final iteration of the
Guys,
budget.
we are under the impression that you're gonna give us permission to send a budget to the county, knowing that you can change it. I don't know.
We do this every year.
I don't understand. I understand if you're against 2%. That's okay.
President Paris.
But you have time to vote no on that.
We literally have 45 days that we could sit and talk about this budget every day.
Put it in writing that we will have another meeting.
Judy, we have the April meeting, we have the May meeting.
Let me speak. I have the floor. Because if it's not in writing to me, it doesn't exist. That's an advocacy 101 rule. If it's not in writing, it doesn't. I've been inundated with phone calls, text messages, and all kinds of things today, smoke signals, to sharpen our pencil. Because people are hurting. I got that. And I did some research on the reevaluation. I can't do this. I can't consciously do this. I know other people feel the same way as I do because they've expressed that to me in phone calls and text messages.
Ms. Bassford, you have my word on this dais, being live streamed and recorded. This budget is not final until May 1st, and I get 5 votes. You have been, with all due respect, on this board for half of my life, and you have seen these budgets, the way the process goes. I am truly flabbergasted that it is such.
Flabbergasted is a good word. I feel the same.
I'm sending this to the county for compliance check, so we can just get it back, and then we can work on it
We will put
up
this
until May
topic
1st.
on the April agenda, so we'll put some more discussion time on it.
I would like to have a separate budget meeting so that we can all sit here and have just a thorough, 'cause listen, let me finish. We get along on this board to do what we need to do, according to what I view in the city from the other side. We need to have thorough conversation about why we're concerned about this 2%, why we're concerned about this budget in public, in front of everyone, and people need to come out and tell us why we need to not give 2% and why we need to cut it down to what we need to do. I mean, everybody that texted me, called me, or whatever they did with me and stopped me at ShopRite and Stop and Shop, I've told them straight out, you need to come and voice your opinion, because I can't be your voice, because you have to be your own voice. So if you tell me that we will have another dedicated budget meeting, I will change my vote to a yes, with your word, and then I want writing, I want on a piece of paper that we're going to do that. Thank you.
Administration will do what a majority of the board directs us to do. Done.
President
Then
Paris.
I would suggest somebody make a motion then that we schedule an additional meeting.
Well, President Paris, if I may, we several of us also want to make a comment. So
Okay,
Commissioner Suarez had her hand up.
Thank you, Vice President Santiago. Colleagues, I'm sincerely confused, and please help me understand respectfully. Why can't we have the administration be in compliance while we still have time to submit? I would hate for our district to be out of compliance. I don't know if this is connected to CUSAC or something similar that is of a detriment to us as a district, just to be in compliance. So please help me understand the rationale to withhold the submission of the budget while we still have time to discuss it, because I'm sincerely confused as to that decision.
So like you just said, Commissioner Suarez, just for compliance, we need to get something in. So I know there is a motion already by Dr. Lucy Danny to put in a 1%. Here, all I have is a general payment of the funds and a total budget. It doesn't even give us on the minutes here, it doesn't give us a step-by-step GL on all the things we need to do and all the things we need to pay. I know we all have our own separate things and all that, but we just need to submit something. So it could, for example, our first year, it was going to be 3%, 2%. We gave, like, if I recall, 4 or 5, and the same thing. So it was unexpected, gave you a little bit more. So it could be the same thing. It was expected 2%. The motion is 1%. If you guys are all okay with that, we could vote on the 1%, send something just for compliance. No? Can't do that?
Mr. Shahada said we would have to specify the cuts to get us to a 1%.
President Paris.
Yes.
So, the calendar is public. We had a meeting just a few days ago. We've discussed when these budget meetings occur. We discussed when all of our meetings occur. So there's ample time for the public to participate, to come, to contribute. We all get comments from the public. We had a presentation from Mr. Shihada. This is just me from my decision making. Based upon the needs of the district, based upon what the needs are from the administration, right? We know that insurance has gone up. We know that we have salary obligations, CBA, negotiated contracts. So they spelled out what they needed, and that was the explanation on the 2%. That's what the information that I received. If we talk about 1%, I then need to know what that means, because I know what 2% means. I'm satisfied with knowing what that means. That was presented to us. I don't know what 1% means. I have not been provided data on what that looks like, what that means. To the point earlier, what does that mean? What are we going to cut? We have seen what 2%, what the need is, and where that's going to go. I haven't seen where 1%, what's that going to look like, and I would need that if we're going to vote at all.
Mr. Paris?
Yes, Commissioner
Okay.
Patrick.
I think this is a statement being made tonight, and I'm going to tell you why, and please do not take this as an insult. We all wanted to know we were used to what we saw last year, and what each increment would mean based on what we could do and our wish list. You said the word wish list. I think that was one of the things that bothered me, that I didn't see exact what could be. I'm telling you,
We have time for that.
I understand that. I think this is a statement being made, Danny. I'm the mom in the group.
Ms. Bassford, I understand, but it's a terrible statement.
Well,
And it's a not necessary statement, to be very honest with you.
I'm not gonna argue with you.
It's a not necessary statement because this is a compliance issue. The budget gets voted on May 1st.
And
I
to
understand.
piggyback
and
off that,
Listen,
Ms. Bashford, can I just make one
can
comment?
I please speak? I have the floor. I have the floor.
But you're making, people are making this difficult for no reason.
And Ms. Bashford, can I just say one thing, President Harris?
I'm done. Let Ms.
Gentlemen,
Bassford finish.
Let Commissioner Bassford finish her statements.
I asked the other night about the middle school. I heard something different tonight, about it's only this 1 year. I thought it was going to be 3 grades in the school, blah, 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 blah. And now I'm confused. I told you, I will change my vote if we have another meeting. I'm asking all of you to have another meeting so we can have a thorough discussion about this in public with everyone. I need answers to talk to my constituents, and they tell me what they need. That's why I'm here. They put me here in this seat. And if I don't do this, I am doing what's against them about finding out the information. I have a lot of questions. And don't tell me I'm doing stuff against kids, because that's not my mantra. I've never been like that.
Who said that?
I'm not going to say who said that, but I'm just going to say it's against kids. I have nobody in the district. I have no children anymore. According to people on Facebook, I shouldn't be in the seat. I don't have any relatives that work in this district. I don't have to worry about that, right? I am not in conflict on anything. I want answers to my questions so I can make an informed decision whether I say yay or nay. And that's where I think my vote came from tonight, because I was frustrated with the fact is that I wanted public input with the middle school thing. I wanted this, I wanted that. Me and Lucy agreed to something the other night, that we wanted input before we made the decision the other night and tonight. I thought that message was clear. I expected to get a little bit more information for tonight. That's all I'm saying. I'm justifying my
Ms.
vote.
Bashford, can I just say one thing, if you don't mind, President Paris?
Go ahead.
It was agreed upon on Tuesday that, to the recommendation of Dr. Robertozzi, that you guys would have something by the next Finance Committee of, a $3 million decrease, which is a 2%. It is not humanly possible for me to just arbitrarily look at a budget and say, I'm going to cut out $3 million. It's $3 million. That's a lot of people, programs, whatever it may be. It has to be a holistic approach. I just don't go in there with no regard to the students and staff and just cut. We need to reassess every single thing in that budget. And I told you guys, and I gave you my word, I have never lied to you, that you will get that information in a timely manner, but it needs to be thorough and accurate, because I do not give you guys BS. And the information that I gave you guys last year, the 2, 4, 6, 8, whatever percentage, that was a wish list because we were looking to increase positions for Pope Paul. This year, my presentation was thorough and to the point because it is to maintain operation. There is no wish list. The options are binary. Increase 2%, decrease or 0%. It's very simple. Are we going to lose $3 million and have to cut people, programs, places, whatever? Or do we maintain operations? So there is no wish list for us. There is nothing to present other than the facts. I'm not trying to sell you guys on it. I am doing what is best for children. I have no personal gain in this. It is for children. And I'm done talking, President Paris.
Thank you.
Do what you got to do.
I see 2 options to us this evening, right? One is, and this would have to come from the prevailing side, a motion to change what we just voted on and send the preliminary at 2%. That would have to come from someone who prevailed in this in that vote, or someone make a motion to put an additional budget meeting on the calendar in April for this discussion and purpose. But then, in the interim, we still need to get something down to actually, it's not or, it's and, because we need to get some kind of budget into the county. So leave that up to you guys.
I'll make
to
a
decide.
motion to put it send it out as it is, as long as we have a meeting and thorough discussion with the community involved.
Okay, so the motion to approve the preliminary budget to send to the county, contingent upon having you can send it, we will have a meeting in April, special budgetary review meeting. Do we have a second for that?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Suarez. Is there any additional discussion at this point? Okay, Mr.
No,
Schad.
I just
Oh,
want
yes.
to be
Oh, yes,
clear.
Commissioner Suarez.
No, I just want to be clear. So this motion is to pass the budget as is right now, as is written, with the understanding that we're meeting together as a team and with the public in April to have essentially this discussion, but having more time and dedication towards
Correct.
it, correct?
We're sending the preliminary budget in, which is preliminary, which is changeable. The final isn't due until May. And we are agreeing to have a special budget meeting sometime during the month of April, again, to review the situation and help in our final
With all the information
decision.
that we asked for at Tuesday night's meeting. With all the information we asked for at Tuesday night's meeting, so we can make an informed
Okay,
decision.
yes, that goes without saying, there would be preparation for that. Yes, Commissioner Siano.
So in the meantime, all of my fellow commissioners, you got to study the budget. You got to figure out where you want to cut. Because if we're going to go down to 1% or 0%, we got to make cuts. Right? That's the job. That's what we were elected for. It's not an easy job. He can't do it without us being told what to do. I mean, looking over the budget, there's, a few places that I'm going to bring up that I'm looking over now that, Commissioner Brunziak and I have spoke on. And, but that's something y'all have to do. It's like homework time. Figure out what we could do without. Because I think you guys know I can't go up 2% after going up 10% in the last 3 years. Give the taxpayers a break. Fiduciary responsibility. We were elected. Yes, students, staff, taxpayer.
Okay, are we ready for a vote on that motion? Okay.
Yes, that's true.
This is to send the preliminary budget, and we will have a meeting, special budgetary meeting, another one. Roll call, please.
Ms. Bassford?
Yes.
Mr. Brunziak?
No.
Dr. Danny?
No.
Mr. Mejia?
Abstain.
Mr. Siano? This is for compliance purposes to go to the county.
I know what it's for.
This is not,
Let him vote, Mr. Shad.
I know what it's for. No.
Ms. Suarez?
Yes.
Vice President Santiago?
Yes.
President Paris?
Yes.
Motion carries. Abstain. 4 in the affirmative, 2 in the negative, 1 as an abstention. The abstention goes with the majority. Motion carries.
Okay, so we'll get that on the agenda. We do have some executive session topics for this evening. We'll be taking about 30 minutes.
President Paris, I have something
Excuse
to
me?
add on.
No, we had some discussion before, and there were some members that would like to have some discussion on the topic. So, should be pretty quick.
I have something to add into executive session, too.
Okay.
It's a legal issue.
This is on student and personnel matters. Should take approximately 30 minutes, and action should be taken. Motion to, I would say let's get our work done, if that's okay with the board. All right. Motion to go to executive session?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Commissioner Brunziak, Commissioner Suarez. See you in a few. Okay, welcome back from executive session. Roll call, please, Mr. Schott.
Excuse me, Ms. Bassford.
Here.
Mr. Bruntiak.
Here.
Dr. Danny.
Here.
Mr. Mejia.
Here.
Mr. Ciano.
Here.
Mr. Suarez.
Here.
Vice President Santiago.
Here.
President Paris.
Here.
We have a quorum, sir.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion to approve under executive session, items 2 and 3.
Motion.
Motion
Second.
by Commissioner Bassford, seconded by Commissioner Suarez. Roll call, Mr. Schott.
Ms. Bassford.
Yes.
Mr. Bruntiak.
Yes.
Dr. Danny.
Yes.
Mr. Mejia.
Yes.
Mr. Ciano.
Yes.
Ms. Suarez.
Yes.
Vice President Santiago.
Yes.
President Paris.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Board member comments is next, and since last time it was really a very abridged one, we're going to start again with Commissioner Bruntiak, since it was his turn, but kind of got gypped last time.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to give prayers out to the Boone family on the matriarch of their family who was unresponsive today. I'm hoping she pulls through. And happy St. Patrick's Day to all of those who celebrate. Thank you for your time, and God bless America. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Commissioner Bruntiak. Dr. Danny.
Thank you, President Paris. I just want to say thank you to all the speakers. Mr. Bertolini, congratulations on your appointment, and happy St. Patrick's Day, and that's it.
Thank you, Dr. Danny. Commissioner Mejia.
Congrats to Mr. Bertolini. I remember back in the day when you were one of our gym coaches and basketball coaches. It was a great time having you. Happy, I don't want to mispronounce it, Priam. I know a lot of my board members celebrate this, and a lot of my close family as well. They do celebrate it. It lasts from today up until tomorrow. So happy holidays for you, for those who are celebrating, and happy Women's History Month.
Thank you, Commissioner Mejia. Commissioner Ciano.
Thank you, President Paris. Happy National Women's Month. I want to take a moment to honor the strong, powerful women who have shaped my life. I'm especially grateful for my wife, who celebrated her birthday on March 8th, which just happened to be International Women's Day. One of the strongest women I know, alongside my mother, sisters, and many incredible women in our community. Irish Heritage Month. St. Patrick's Day is right around the corner. Please enjoy it responsibly. I want to thank the Board of Ed for the fruit basket they sent to me. It brightened my spirits during my recovery. The only thing I do want to update everybody on is a little health thing here. I am happy to report pathology reports that came in showed no cancer in the lymph nodes. They removed 28 lymph nodes, so all the lymph nodes around my prostate. And it appears the cancer was confined to the prostate. That being said, there was actually a portion of the cancer that was very high risk that did not show up on the biopsy that could have easily penetrated the walls of the prostate, which would have led to bone cancer. 85 to 95% of prostate cancers turn into bone cancer. Early detection made all the difference. I want to urge all men and their families to get regular PSA checks. Prostate cancer can be life-threatening, but with early detection, there's hope. I want to wish everybody a happy and safe St. Patrick's Day. I won't be attending the next strategic planning meeting as I'm being awarded for my work in my business. It's good to be back. Stay safe. Take care of one another. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Ciano. Commissioner Suarez.
Thank you, President Paris. Good evening, everyone. As has been stated, I would like to acknowledge the celebrations of this month. Ramadan continues, Women's History Month, Social Workers Month, and Irish Heritage Month. In general, I'm aware that I don't often say too much during meetings and I could be succinct with my words. And please know that this isn't shade to anyone here or anyone out in the audience, but I don't speak to just say anything. I speak when I have something to say. And tonight I do. My first comments are regarding the budget. I think it's important to reiterate that the budget was simply allowing for to be passed along to the county for compliant timelines. That said, I understand that there is much trepidation about raising taxes, especially in light of current inflation and how everyday costs are high. Please know that I certainly understand that concern. However, it's also important to reiterate that it is an expectation within the New Jersey State school formula that each district raise their taxes 2% each year in order to be adequately funded. With this in mind, we will be negligent to all of our students and staff if we don't meet this basic expectation from the state. I could understand if the tax request was beyond an expectation of 2%, and I would certainly respect that abstention. Believe me, I am personally not a fan of our tax dollars being needed to fund our schools. Because public schools shape our future, educate our society, and are sites that foster democracy, it is my personal belief that public schools should be fully funded by the federal government. And seeing that our current administration is actively trying to demolish public education, I understand that having schools fully funded is a lofty and long-fetched goal, but I will still keep dreaming about it. So in order for us to simply maintain what we already have and what we provide for our students today, it is necessary that we raise taxes. As a homeowner in Clifton, my taxes will be impacted as well. Unfortunately, relying on property taxes is how the funding system is designed, and therefore raising taxes is the only tool we have to make up for what we don't get from the state to fund our schools. We need to use the tools that we have that are given to us in order to keep our schools maintained. Further, it's important to keep in mind that our schools here in Clifton and in countless other districts are still understaffed, as we need more specialized teachers, more paraprofessionals, more substitutes, and more space in order for us to function optimally. So a 2% increase in our taxes is the least we can do to service the students of our district. Also, in a different topic, I thank my colleagues here on the dais for approving the new school calendar. Juneteenth is an important day to honor the freedom of those who were enslaved, and thus also honors the history and ancestry of many of our students and community members. We all happily honor our collective freedom on July 4th, our country's Independence Day, and I personally love to watch fireworks and celebrate with family and friends, but we must remember that not everyone was free on July 4th, 1776. Historically, as is evident in educational research, many Black and brown students are often feel ignored or even invisible in their classrooms. Feeling ignored in classroom setting can have negative impacts on school engagement, behavior, self-esteem, student-teacher relationships, and ultimately on student grades. As all good teachers know, positive relationships with students are critical to the success, and making kids feel seen is being a big part of maintaining positive relationships. So I believe that having Juneteenth on our school calendar is a small yet important way to see our students, their families, and their lived history, ultimately sending the message that they matter. One more comment?
Absolutely.
Lastly, Read Across America. I had such pleasure and joy reading to the little ones in our schools. I had preschool, fifth graders, first graders, and they were so, so lovely to read with. It brings me joy. To the parents and guardians, please, please read to your children, whether it's a poem, a quick article, a picture book, a chapter book. Reading at home sends the message about how reading is important. Thank you, everyone, for your attention and listening for what I have to say. Have a good night, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you, Commissioner Suarez. Commissioner Bassford.
Thank you, President Paris. For those that didn't hear Tuesday night's comments because they weren't aware we had a meeting, condolences once again to the Canova family, the Colangelo family, and now to the Mullen family on the loss of Tom Mullen, trustee of the Clifton Education Foundation and also Clifton Recreation Department. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the following schools for inviting me to participate in Read Across America in the past couple of weeks. School 2, School 5, School 8, School 11, School 12, School 12's Annex, School 13, School 14, School 16, and School 17. It was a true honor to engage with the students and celebrate the joy of reading. As we celebrate Irish Heritage Month, I take pride in honoring the rich cultural traditions, history, and contributions the Irish people have made. It is time to reflect on the values of resilience, community, and deep-rooted spirit that has shaped generations, including my own. My McBride family that my sister has traced all the way back to Ireland and has met 2 years ago on a trip to Ireland, knocked on a door, and they let her in, and she had dinner with those people. From Ireland's profound influence on literature and music to its vibrant traditions that continue to inspire, this month reminds me of the importance of family, culture, and heritage. Happy Irish Heritage Month, all. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Bassford. Vice President Santiago.
Thank you, President Paris. I look forward to our student rep Mark with the math program, the data that he's gathering. I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to the results of that. Our next strategic planning meeting is March 20th at 7 p.m. at Clifton High School. Please come out. Please participate. It is the spring athletic season, so there's a lot of stuff to support and go out and see on our school teams. We have tennis, we have track, we have volleyball, we have flag football, we have baseball, we have softball, we have lacrosse, plenty of stuff to support. Happy Irish Heritage Month, happy St. Patrick's Day, Women's History Month, shout out to our social workers, and happy Purim. And last, on the budget, just to reiterate, we just voted to pass, to send this on to the county to be in compliance. There's plenty of time to discuss, to deliberate, to change all the way up to May, including a new April meeting. So plenty of time to please come out and make your voice heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Santiago. And thank you, Commissioner Bassford, for mentioning Mr. Mullen. I realized he had passed away, so condolences to his family. And also continuing condolences to Commissioner Canova's family on the loss of his father-in-law. I attended the CHS play, Sweeney Todd, which was absolutely awesome. It was like a Broadway play. If you haven't been to a Clifton High School musical before, you'd be in for quite a treat, and it's quite a bargain. So congratulations to all the staff and the students putting out a wonderful show. The 19th of this month is All City Strings. That's going to be at the high school at 7 p.m. And on the 26th, it's All City Band, also at the high school at 7 p.m. I'd like to just say congratulations to our Passaic County School Board Association Unsung Hero Award winner from Clifton High School. Mr. Ryan Raphael Zaniga was our candidate. It was a very touching ceremony, and it's meant to honor all the, well, exactly what it says, unsung heroes, students that are phenomenal in their own right, but just are not as visible in they do it in their own quiet way. So there are a lot of very, very great stories about some wonderful students that we got to hear. It was very heartwarming. And thank you to the staffs at the 8 elementary schools that I participated in Read Across America. I can report that we have a very strong reading program. We have students that were great listeners, classrooms, very organized. It was just a wonderful experience. So thank you for everyone who organized Read Across America and all of the commissioners here that participated. I know it was very much appreciated by the staff. All right, the last item is new business. Is there any new business?
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Danny.
So my new business is looking at the May date of the 22nd. I was wondering if maybe we can move that date up or, move the date down, like either the 15th or the 29th, if anybody would be.
This is our general board meeting?
Yes, yes.
29th is academic dinner for the students.
So the 15th, that's the week before, because it's the Memorial Day weekend, and that's the only reason why I'm bringing it up, that, I don't know if anybody else will be, I might possibly not be here, would have to just zoom in.
I wouldn't be here for that. I would also have to zoom in for that meeting.
So I just, that's why I'm bringing it up.
Okay, you wouldn't be in for the 20?
The
Second.
22nd, I wouldn't be able to make it. I would have to be on
Yeah.
Zoom, which I would do, but
Yes.
if we could move the
Yeah.
meeting even a day before,
So
whatever.
the week
works
before
It's May
is
22nd
the
meeting.
15th, right? Is
So that like the
week before is
15th, or, or I don't know if the 21st interferes with anything.
Does anyone else have a conflict if we move it?
I have a conflict on the 15th.
You do? Okay, Dr. Arbitozzi has a conflict there, so we can't do it then.
I mean, I could zoom in, that's no, but I just thought.
Maybe that's going to be the best way to do it at this point.
Yeah.
For my office purposes, the later the meeting in the month, the better, because we have to encompass all of the bills to pay.
Okay, I mean, it's
Or we
just.
just cancel and we don't pay the bill. Your call.
Well, no, or the 28th, I don't know, that's later, the Wednesday, before
Well,
the.
we have the ability for them to zoom in, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, that's
You guys
fine.
just have to zoom in for it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, any other new business?
No.
All right, motion to close?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Suarez, second by Commissioner Brunciak. Have a great evening.